When some owners hear off-market deal, they think special opportunity, one-on-one communication, unsolicited, unique. When most buyers think off-market deal, they think secluded, discounted, controllable. In this video, we're going to walk through several reasons as to why, even if you ultimately wanted to sell to that same exact party, a one-on-one or off-market deal is not the road you want to take when selling your business. I'm Arthur Petropoulos, managing partner and president here at Hillview Partners. We're a middle market investment banking firm helping companies across all industries generating $1 million to $20 million a year in pre-tax earnings or EBITDA to sell their companies into secure capital. So someone has come out of the blue. I have a special opportunity for you. We want to buy your company. We think it's wonderful. We don't want you to talk to anybody else. Just talk to us. Just sell us your company. We'll make all your dreams come true. Sounds great, doesn't it? Well, let's walk through several reasons as to why, even if this might be Prince Charming coming in on his black stallion to save you from the wicked stepsisters in some Cinderella-esque style, it's still not something you want to do. Reason number one, simply stated, no competition means no pressure. The only thing that turns coal into diamonds, time and pressure. In every business transaction, I don't care what it is that you do, selling donuts, doorknobs, or companies, the only things that really push people are deadlines and contingencies. What creates deadlines and contingencies? Timing, competition. What creates the fear of loss, loss aversion? One of the biggest drivers of all human behavior is competition, is other people, is someone else who might want something more, who might be willing to pay more, do more, move faster. And so in any situation, even if it's a bona fide party, competition is a good thing. Number two, you should not be negotiating directly with the buyer of your company. The one good reason is that you may be involved with the business. You are likely to be involved with the business at least for some tenure of time after the transaction closes. And so whether that's 3 months or 3 years, usually we'll want to keep that on the shorter side depending on what our clients want, you're going to want to keep that relationship good. And it's almost a tendency. If you own a business, you're in the business of making customers happy, you have a tendency to want to keep the customer happy, and you're going to bring that same approach, if you will, to a deal with people who do this all day, every day, and who are more than happy to kind of squeeze what they can out of a situation. It's not to say they're nefarious, but they're definitely more, let's call it, emotionally numb to the oscillations or the vicissitudes of selling a business. Why do we say that in plain English? Like, they do this every day, right? You're going to be sitting at the poker table getting excited if a hand looks good, depressed if it looks bad, but there's a guy across the table that just plays poker all day, and they're going to win, if you will, when it comes to some of the more contentious elements or really the broader negotiating of the deal. So you should not be negotiating. You should have, if you're sitting at a poker table, you should have a poker pro on your side, representing you, playing on your behalf, alongside you, right? And that's what a good investment banker does. Number three, you want to anchor the terms of a deal on the market, not on the buyer. There's a thing called an anchoring bias. So whenever you start a conversation with someone, the anchoring bias joke is a girl writes a letter home to her parents from college, and she says, "Mom, Dad, I'm dropping out of school. Me and Billy Bob are starting a family. He's already got the trailer set up, and I'm pregnant, and we're going to be moving out to East Podunk, and you'll never hear from me again." And then the end of it goes, "P.S. I was just joking, but I did fail math." Right? But the idea is that you've anchored something, right? It's like, ask your parents for a car, and if you ask them for a bicycle, it doesn't seem so bad, right? So, but you're anchoring it just on kind of this fictitious, land of potentials. And so when a buyer comes out and says, "We'll give you X dollars," right, on these terms, like, you're setting these inherent anchorings, if you will, for the overall transaction. Whereas if you allow the market to anchor things, then that's going to be the fairest indicator. It's going to say, well, the market says this for the price after having a few hundred conversations. The structure should look like this, the transition should look like this. And you can negotiate from that. So even if it was the same party, you want them negotiating against the market, not just negotiating against you or trying to kind of set an anchor for some midpoint that they've just made up and are convincing you that it's a good idea. Next, the information flow tends to be entirely one way. When we're running a process of selling a business, we are asking the potentially interested parties to tell us about their interest, their experience, their capabilities, both financially and otherwise, when they want to buy a business. We ask them to provide us follow-up questions. We ask them to have Zoom meetings with us. We want them to be putting in as much work as you. When we've had companies that come to us to sell their business after a failed off-market type of deal, what they've told us is, well, they just kept sending us sheet after sheet after sheet of information that we need to provide them. And they didn't tell us anything. They just said, hey, this is good. We just need a little bit more. Hey, this is good. We just need a little bit more. It's a completely one-sided thing. And this ties back to the competition or the competitive element of these deals. If you have people competing against each other, you ask them for information. And then also, by having a representative that does this all day, we know how much information is enough. They don't need to see bank reconciliations and audited tax returns and financial statements going back 75 years in order to put an indication of interest or a preliminary offer on the table. We know what they need, we know what they don't need, we know what's enough, we know where to draw the lines, and the information flow has to be two ways. If you're going to ask us to do things, you're certainly going to be doing things as well. Next, you have a higher risk of retrades. Again, the recurring theme of all of this is that there's no competition. They're the only guy at the dance. That's the only option you have on the table. And so if they ultimately bring you all the way into the deep waters and then say, hey, we'll just leave you here to drown, or you could take a 30% discount on the price, or you could take 80% of the deal over time, or you could take a transition that's comparable to indentured servitude, and then you're there and you're saying, geez, we're already a year into this process. I've already, spent the money in my mind, or forget spending the money. I've already made some commitments for the next season of life. I've already told people because they said it was a good idea to tell people. It just creates this mess of situations. And so what inhibits retrades? Someone pushing people along, the competitive exercise, weeding out the people that are just kind of kicking tires and trying to exhaust you. The second to last item here is that a process like this will create some deal fatigue that can have some knock-on effects, even should you desire to enter into a process or pursue other acquirers afterwards. So let's just say, you want to run the Boston Marathon, and someone says, why don't we run a practice marathon right before you run the marathon? And so you do the practice marathon thinking that it's the actual marathon. And then you say, you know what, that was good, but good luck, go do the dance, go do the full marathon, and maybe we'll stick around after. That's what we see sometimes. Someone does this extensive, call it pre-offer thing, says, you know what, we're not really that interested in putting in an offer, so keep us posted. And so maybe this is a dumb analogy of trying to run two marathons, but you can think of it as like you're already playing the game. Why don't you play the game with full gusto, with full energy, the right way first, so you're not walking into a situation kind of battered and bruised. We've still created many, many good outcomes, but we've had to tell clients at certain points where they had a failed process. They then walk into, and we work together, we get a few offers and say, oh, you know what, that one seems pretty good. Let's just do that one. And we say, look, we understand that there's an element of fatigue here, but we need to push. We need to pretend this is the first time because that will still get us a result. And ultimately they're happy that they've done that, but the fatigue is real in these exercises. It takes a lot of work. And so unless you know you have something real that's going to get to closing, you don't want to go the distance, if you will, if it's just going to be sparring with no outcome. And lastly, an off-market deal, if you have no representation and you are working by yourself, will be a distraction. It's not that it may be a distraction. It's not that it could be a distraction. It will be a distraction. There's no humanly possible way that someone can do all of the work necessary to sell a business while still trying to be involved with the business. Even if it's just at the chairman level, this will distract you. This will mess with your thoughts and emotions, and some days you're going to be furious, and you're going to be walking up a mountain without a Sherpa. And this isn't just us selling, oh, you should hire Hillview Partners because we're the greatest investment bank in the world, which I think we are. However, you don't want to make such a big decision in life without someone who's walked up that mountain, without someone who's climbed that mountain hundreds of times before with other successful outcomes. If you wouldn't sell, most people wouldn't sell their car by themselves on the street. Most people wouldn't certainly sell their houses by themselves. Do not sell your business yourself. You might know your business inside and out. This isn't us being critical of you, but you're just not going to know how this business works. And so these are the ideas. An off-market deal take it as flattery. Take it as someone walking up to you at the bar and telling you just how handsome you are, just how beautiful you are, just how wonderful your company is. Say thank you. And then if you do desire to sell a company, do the process. Finding the right investment banker, the outcome will by many, many multiples outweigh the cost. The guidance of it will get you the better outcome. And it's not just a factor of, oh, we got 10% more. I mean, in most situations, we're getting at least 50% more, but it's the fact that the process, there's a bias towards deals that close. The probability of closing is way higher. The probability of finding the right suitor, the right steward, if you will, for your company, for the next generation, that will take care of the employees, that will give you the proper transition, that will keep the legacy of the business, that will give you the structure that makes sense, is unbelievably higher in this business if you are not doing it yourself, if you are not just going with the first person that says your business is great and wants to buy it. Trust me. And we're obviously happy to talk to anyone about our thoughts in that regard as well. But that's the idea for today. An unsolicited offer, take it as a compliment, don't pursue it. That's the thought for this week. Hope everyone's year is getting off to a good start. Keep pushing forward. God bless. We'll see everyone next time.